Are the rumors true, Albus?
I'm afraid so, Professor. The good and the bad.
And the boy?
Good evening, Hogwarts students and muggles alike. Welcome to another enchanting episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Boy. I am your co-host, Trey, with my other co-host, Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hi, Trey.
I said say hi, Corey.
Hi, Corey.
There you go.
I have to ask, why do you always say co-host?
Because we're co-hosts.
Okay, I was just curious.
I didn't want to make you feel insecure by saying I was the host.
I mean, that's usually what I do. I think I usually say, I'm your host, Corey, joined by my co-host, Trey, or something like that.
That makes like a hierarchy that I'm not comfortable with.
Okay, I'll respect that.
Okay. Respect given. What's the word? I can't think of the word I want to use anyway. Anyway, we are getting into a hot, gritty topic tonight. Fresh off the presses, a scandal going on. What are we talking about tonight, Corey?
Well, I figured it would be a great opportunity for two mid to late 30-year-old white men to talk about a strong female character. We're going to talk about Hermione Granger.
Oh, woke.
Tonight. Don't get us, canceled or anything like that. We will try to do this, hopefully without pissing anyone off. We did a character episode on Harry Potter titled The Boy. That was our third episode. We did a episode in relation to Ron Weasley. It was more about his interpretation on the big screen versus his book character. So I felt like now that we're deep into this podcast, a few episodes into season 2, that Hermione Granger deserves her own conversation and wanted to do an episode on her. So we'll try to do this respectfully. I don't know if saying that beforehand gets us more in trouble, but I know
more sexist, I guess.
I know people have strong opinions. So yeah, I'm ready.
I have a strong opinion. My opinion is Emma Watson, give me a call.
She's never going to hear this. I'm going to edit this part out of the episode.
Aww. Now we'll never be together, and it's your fault.
I'm sure we'll talk about Emma Watson. I naturally that will come up, given her being the first iteration of actor to play that role. But for now, I'm going to kick off the episode discussing Hermione Granger, and maybe we'll learn something new. I'm intrigued. I came across some things that I never knew. So yeah, if you're ready, Trey, I'm ready.
All right, hold on a second. All right, I'm ready.
Is everything okay?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay.
The part.
I'm going to leave that in.
Good. It's nothing but the truth here.
It's high quality content on this podcast. So I did actually have some stuff written before I'm sure, kind of get into a little bit of just on the riff conversation. But Hermione Granger as a character, which, unlike many characters in the Harry Potter series who sprang purely from imagination of you-know-who, she who must not be named, Hermione did have a clear real-life inspiration, which was she who must not be named herself, was the inspiration.
Oh, she got way off.
Hermione Granger, yeah. Especially, I'm sure that'll come up as I go through this. She described it as I would say, an exaggerated characterization of her 11-year-old self, which, I mean, I think we were kind of all, not to discredit any of that, but yeah, and know it all. You know, I'm kind of going through that phase with our daughter right now.
At 11, I was rocking the bowl cut and a seashell necklace, puka shell necklace.
Okay, I mean, you were setting trends. I mean, that would,
it was 2001.
Kind of come in style, you know, a little later through the what was that clothing store? Was it Hollister?
No,
Like all the preppy kids wore. Yeah, wasn't it Hollister?
I mean, yeah, Hollister's preppy stuff.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of like something that would like sell the puka shell necklaces. I got mine at a beach store. So I was authentic. Legit. Watch out, there's a badass over here.
What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, strong
awkward 11-year-olds.
Strong female characters. And awkward 11-year-olds. On her official website, She Who Must Not Be Named would go on to say, and I quote, "I have often said that Hermione is a bit like me when I was younger. I think I was seen by other people as a right little know-it-all, but underneath Hermione's swottiness, there is a lot of insecurity and a great fear of failure." Which does bring up a good point, and is actually represented in the book, but cut from the film, that Hermione's Bogart in Prisoner of Azkaban is Professor McGonagall telling her she failed all of her exams. You know, is kind of an embodiment of Hermione as a character.
I wish they'd kept that.
But still a great scene in the films. I actually, that's, I think, one of the better parts of some of my nitpicks from Prisoner of Azkaban. Go back and listen to our episode on Prisoner of Azkaban if you would like to know what Trey and I think of that film. And then I didn't know this, but Hermione's name was chosen, obviously, with great care. She Who Must Not Be Named picked the uncommon name Hermione from Shakespeare's play The Winter's Tale. Though Hermione wasn't always a Granger, her original surname was actually Puckle, which I didn't know that.
That would have gotten confusing.
How so?
Puckle and Potter. Potter and Puckle.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a daytime detective buddy cop show. Puckle and Potter on the case.
And it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I didn't include it in my notes. Might have it in my fun facts later down the line. But She Who Must Not Be Named, actually, the backstory between Hermione and Harry Potter, I don't know if it was like, I don't think it was first draft, but I think it was like in her writing notes, actually had the Potters and the Puckles have like this kind of backstory / like overlap in history together. It was interesting. I read a few like snippets of what was originally planned. It was horrible. I'm glad it was changed. What I read, and I will say I did not delve into it deep enough to like uncover solid sources. So, you know, just for the sake of repeating something that I read, but did not verify whether or not it was true completely. It was that the Potters originally lived on an island, like a secluded island, assuming somewhere off the coast of England or something like that. And what would have been the Puckles at this time, not the Grangers, but the Puckles were a Muggle family that lived like near the docks or something like that, so that they had like a little more history or overlap together.
Potters probably accepted that deal from Ireland to live on one of their islands, and you get $100,000.
Was that a thing?
That is a thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe that's where they got their family wealth from.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting.
They actually had really good magical health insurance, so when Voldemort murdered them, that was in their policy, being murdered by the Dark Lord.
the wizard life insurance.
It paid out, and they just put it in the bank.
I mean, have you ever, like, I guess, a truthful conversation, have you ever, like, found out why the Potters were so rich and had all this money? Like, do you actually know?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. I forget the name of the potion, but supposedly, like, James's dad, yeah, Harry's grandfather, invented a extremely popular potion and made a bunch of money from it, and that's where they got all of their wealth from.
And by potion, it's actually alcohol. He invented butterbeer.
Could have been more interesting, but no, I think it was
should have been called Potterbeer.
Potterbeer, trademark. But yeah, with that said, back to Hermione. What did I say? Oh yeah, her name being taken from Shakespeare's play The Winter Tale. Have you ever read that one?
Oh, that's one of the few that I haven't. So I have no
haven't
context
either
on that one.
Yeah, I didn't go back and look, but I don't remember it. I don't ever remember reading that one. Being forced to read it in school. Not that I ever read any of Shakespeare's stuff on my own.
It was not as good being read. It's better when you see it, like on stage or in a movie.
As like a performance. Yeah. I mean, shout out to, I know we keep getting off topic, but Romeo and Juliet, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and John.
Fantastic.
I absolutely love that movie. And I did not know Paul Rudd was in that film.
He was Paris.
Yeah, it's amazing. That was like one of his first big roles. Yeah. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
My favorite though is Much Ado About Nothing that Joss Whedon did.
Oh yeah,
so good.
I haven't seen it.
It's really good.
So Hermione Jean Granger, was born on September 19th, 1979. She was a Muggle-born witch, which means she was born to both non-magical parents. She is an only child of Mr. and Mrs. Granger, two Muggle dentists. She will later go on to marry
Juan,
as he's lovingly called by Lavender Brown, who eventually dies, right? Or I guess it's left open. I don't think they ever say she dies, but she does.
Remember.
She does get attacked by a werewolf, Fenrir Greyback. She would later go on to marry Ron Weasley and have two children, Rose and Hugo. And eventually, which I know I got this fact wrong in one episode, but would go on to become Minister of Magic.
And name her children like Minerva Weasley or Tonks Weasley.
No, because Ron was a secondary character and was not important and didn't have loving family members who died horrible deaths during the Wizarding War.
None of them.
They got real names, Rose and Hugo. And she would also go on to be the godmother of Harry's son, James Potter. I have to ask, because in the beginning of Potter fandom, Hermione's name was a topic of heated debate. Going back in time, turning our time turners, do you remember how you originally pronounced Hermione?
I pronounced Hermione Hermione until the movies came out.
Until the movies came out?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I thought it was Hermione.
Hermione? I want to say, I know I didn't pronounce it correctly. I know that for a fact. And I can hear it in my head, but I want to say I pronounced it. How do you say you pronounced it again?
Hermione, like Victor Crumb pronounces it.
Hermione. See, I'm trying to like verbally. Hermione.
I
I want to say like something like that, But I know in Goblet of Fire, the whole reason that She Who Must Not Be Named wrote that scene with Victor Crumb was to teach people how to actually say her name. But Goblet of Fire came out, that would have been after the film, so yeah, it kind of lines up.
She was always Hermione.
I know there were quite a few names that I mispronounced throughout the series, but I think across the fandom for all Potterheads, hers certainly takes the cake.
Running a podcast can be expensive, $35 a month to be exact, but we're not going to ask you, our listeners, to front the cost. Instead, consider making a small donation to a charity we hold dear to our hearts, the Trevor Project, the leading suicide prevention, crisis, and intervention nonprofit organization for LGBTQ+ young people. Bravery, intelligence, hard work, and ambition. With these values, we can unite and change the world. Let's make magic happen today.
Her introduction to the series was, her description, I would say, was, and I quote, "She had bossy sort of voice, lots of bushy brown hair, and rather large front teeth," according to Sorcerer's Stone, Chapter 6. Did you ever have a Hermione in your life? Like, as part of your core friend group, did you have a Hermione? I mean, it doesn't have to be a female, but did you have that kid that you would associate with a Hermione Granger in your friend group?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that cuts that discussion.
Heartache there.
I'll respect that. I think we've all gone through that. Like, as part of, like, my core friend group, no. Like, I didn't have, I mean, I don't know if this is worse, but I don't think I had, like, a strong female friend until I was, like, in high school. So, like, throughout elementary school and middle school, I had, like, strong friends who were boys, but no female friends. But many who were friends that went on to
be exes,
wanting to be more than friends, and a lot of heartache in between. So I can certainly relate. Some of them becoming exes, many of them becoming nothing at all.
I married to a Hermione.
And then I would, nice, Trey. I am very much married a Hermione, and very much feel like oh God, maybe not even a Ron, maybe a Longbottom is how I feel sometimes. Hermione would go on, obviously being sorted into Gryffindor, though the Sorting Hat did consider her for Ravenclaw due to her intellect, but ultimately chose the Prior. Hermione balances intelligence with empathy. She starts off valuing rules and academics above all, but throughout the series, she learns the higher virtues of friendship and bravery, and I think that's pretty clear. I mean, one, the troll situation, but mostly, I mean, she flips pretty quick into breaking rules.
Bad really quickly.
I was kind of like, as I was going through this and like putting together my notes and things like that, you know, I was kind of like thinking Prisoner of Azkaban, the Time Turner and stuff like that. But really, I mean, in the first book,
wasn't breaking rules.
She's
with the Time Turner.
I just meant like where she kind of shows that more adventurous side. But I mean, in the first book, what I was going to say is she's already like setting teachers' robes on fire and stuff like that.
Suggesting going into the restricted section.
I think in conjunction with us, the fans and the readers, initially Harry and Ron find her to be a bit much, to say the least. It isn't until their kind of shining moment with the troll in the bathroom, that incident kind of cementing their friendship, where Hermione is initially reprimanding them, but when they get caught, she does break bad and lie to a teacher to protect them. And that is where their bond strengthens or begins.
Ron and Harry stop bullying her mercilessly.
I wouldn't say bullying, but it is always a shocker, going back and reading the books, that, I mean, there's a pretty substantial amount of time that passes where it's just Harry and Ron, and Hermione's not really involved. Excuse me. I mean, she really, is that know-it-all character, much to their annoyance. And
well, yeah, because the troll didn't happen until Halloween, so they were 3 or 4 months in at that point.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, and I feel like in the movie, it happens, a little quicker. But it's always I compare it I don't know, it's just strange going back and reading the books and just realizing how much in the beginning, kind of I'll compare it to Harry and Draco's first meeting as well, happening in the robe shop in the books, where in the movies they don't meet until they actually get to Hogwarts, which I think is a better interpretation from a storytelling standpoint. But again, it's one of those book to movie differences that I always forget happens, because I feel like it's so iconic from the films. When you go back and you read it, you're like, wait, this is how it really happened? It's always just a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, I get that.
With that said, throughout the series, Hermione continues to play an important role. I mean, I think it's said in the books too. I'm almost positive, and I don't have the exact quote in the films, but I think it's Ron says that if it's, not for Hermione, they really wouldn't have made it as far as they did throughout the whole series. And putting together this episode, I don't want to say I forgot. I mean, because obviously, Hermione is a very, I think, unique character, and there is, with the film adaptations, a lot of crossover between Harry and Ron. Again, go back and listen to our episode on Ron's interpretation on screen, that a lot of his moments are taken away and given to Hermione. So thinking Hermione from a book character standpoint, I do often forget how important of a presence she plays throughout the series.
I mean, she carries the whole team.
She really does. And I wanted to hit on some of those points. Some are, I think, obvious with especially in the first film, the troll stuff aside. She, through the trials that they go through to get the stone, which is one that was cut in the film, is the potion riddle, I guess you can call it. She also defeats the devil's snare, though she does need Ron's reminder that she is a witch and can use magic. But ultimately it is Hermione performing her, which I can't wait to see in the books, because I always loved her moment. But her thing, especially in the first book, is creating the bluebell flames.
Mm-hmm. She's a little pyro.
Yeah, she's a little pyro. She solves the mystery of the Chamber of Secrets. I mean, she's the one who figures out that it's a basilisk and how to defeat it. Or not how to defeat it, but how
avoid it.
Yeah.
Or
Because
be safe from it.
she writes on the paper that it's the pipes, with the page ripped out from the book, stating that it's a basilisk. In Order of the Phoenix, she is actually the one who comes up with the idea to communicate with the magic coins, which, again, that is a part that is not in the film adaptation. But she also comes up with the idea of luring Umbridge to the Forbidden Forest, and ultimately leading to her getting kidnapped and questionable things happening to her.
She also organized an entire elf rebellion.
Or for Spew?
Yeah.
She doesn't cause an elf rebellion for Spew. I don't mean to
But she tried.
She tries. But I actually, I actually find that, I know a lot of people, I think, I'm not going to speak for everyone, clearly I can't, but I know Spew isn't the most popular storyline in the books for various reasons, but I actually I think it's a good representation of Hermione using her brains to work towards what on paper would be a good cause, but going about it the wrong way.
I'm just saying she organized the whole campaign.
Yeah.
No wonder she won being Minister of Magic. She had campaign experience.
That's true. That's true. And then, she, without her, playing a big part of it, she is the one who kind of prepares to go and hunt the Horcruxes in Deathly Hallows. She pre-preps, packing, books, clothing, supplies, kind of knowing that eventually it's going to lead to that, and Harry's going to ultimately make that decision. She physically assaults Draco Malfoy, which I think at that point in the book we all wanted to happen at some point. I think in the book, though, I can't remember if she slaps him, but I know in the movie she just straight up punches him in the face. Obviously, again, Prisoner of Azkaban, the Time Turner concept, not breaking the rules, but technically it was against the Ministry of Magic's
He got
set
permission
from Dumbledore.
Totally landed a celebrity boyfriend.
That's true. And Goblet of Fire. And also, again, in the books, she taught Harry Accio, right?
I believe so.
Accio Firebolt. That was another one of those words that I mispronounced. And then, yeah, we talked, you mentioned Spew, and then probably, I would say one of the most memorable Hermione scenes comes from Goblet of Fire and her ultimate glow up during the Yule Ball, which also I think is the same book where her teeth get shrunken. That scene in the book.
Way to boil a strong female character all the way down to her looks at the ball.
I mean,
really chauvinistic of you.
It's just saying, it's part of the story. Attention students, whether you're a witch or wizard looking to discover your potential with an exquisite selection of magical woods and legendary cores, find your perfect wand and let your magical adventure begin at ScottingtonWandcrafts.com. Use code TGTBTBPOD, as in the good, the bad, the boy pod, and save 10% off at Scottington Wandcrafts, maker of magnificent magical wands. But I do have fun facts. Going through, this process and kind of delving a little deeper into this character, past from what I know in the books, what I know from the movies, I did find a few things interesting. I mean, one of them I mentioned earlier, just because it kind of came natural with the flow, but her last name originally being Puckle, I also found it interesting that her original middle name also changed as well. Originally, it was Hermione Jane Granger, but it was changed to Hermione Jean Granger because of Dolores Jane Umbridge. She who must not be named did not want them to both have the same middle name, which I thought was interesting. Do you know, I'm going to quiz you, do you know what type of animal is Hermione's Patronus?
Isn't it a cat? No, it's a rabbit.
No. Luna is the rabbit. It's not a cat either. It's actually an otter.
Oh, yeah.
Which is revealed in Order of the Phoenix. I mean, that's when, we find
Everyone
out.
gets a Patronus.
Everyone. You get a Patronus. You get a Patronus. Even though it's supposed to be, super hard magic to perform. And the otter being in line with being a playful, intelligent, and fiercely loyal animal. Otters are also part of the weasel family, which links Hermione to the Weasley clan. Little on the nose. Did mention that Hermione's original surname was Puckle, and then I guess I mentioned this one too, was the her Bogart being her just her fear of failure overall, but being interpreted to Professor McGonagall telling her that she did in fact fail her exams. And then I think we talked about this in one of our other episodes, but she would ultimately be the only one of the trio who would go back and actually finish her education at Hogwarts. So even though she did help save the wizarding world from an evil wizard trying to take over a local high school, she did go on to finish out her last year at Hogwarts.
She'd be the 19-year-old surrounded by a bunch of 17-year-olds.
Well, that, and just from like an emotional standpoint, I mean, I don't know. That's a lot.
To Hermione, is like, can you buy us beer?
Can you get us a 6-pack of butterbeer, please?
Just get some butterbeer light.
Non-alcoholic butterbeer. And then, yeah, she would later go on to work for the ministry, originally for the Department for Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures. Again, going back to a heavy advocation for house elves, and eventually rose to become Minister of Magic. Kind of wrapping up, I guess, truly being the brightest witch of her age, because she would go on to literally run the wizarding world.
Or just England. Since there are apparently other wizarding ministers and one big minister who runs everything. According to Fantastic Beasts.
Shit, I forgot that. What a horrible idea. Well, maybe that was done away with by the time we reached the 90s-ish, give or take. Yeah, who knows? Horrible storytelling either way. Going through the facts, I'm sure many of which we all already know. We know who Hermione is as a character. Whether we've had connections like Hermione in real life or not, I am intrigued from your perspective. Reading the books. I mean, do you, kind of going back to being able to pronounce her name, like, how did you feel about Hermione as a character when you first read the books? Like, was she one of your top characters? Was she someone that annoyed you like she annoyed Ron and Harry throughout the first couple of chapters in the book? What was Hermione for you in the beginning?
As a character, she was one of the characters that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always complain about like young adult where it's the kids know what's really going on, but the adults are oblivious. I think that's kind of stupid. Hermione was one of the characters that would go get an adult. And I like that. Like, she made the most sense most of the time. She was also low-key my book crush.
Okay, so you had a connection with Hermione.
I liked Hermione
as a character. Okay, that's interesting. Like, to me, the Golden Trio, and I think we talked about this before, like with Harry Potter and him, you know, having to be that introduction to the wizarding world, being that, you know, Harry Potter is kind of supposed to be us reading the book, you know, discovering new things and things like that. I always liked Hermione because she felt like a more realistic interpretation that if someone showed up and said, congratulations, you know how to do magic, you're a wizard, and there's this whole other world that you know nothing about. I feel like I would be a Hermione. I would want to read every book. I would want to know anything and everything about this world. And that was one of those things that like always frustrated me. I mean, Ron lives that world. I mean, that's Ron, but like, it always frustrated me with Harry Potter as a character that it was just like, oh wow, all this cool stuff is happening. And within his first month of Hogwarts, he's falling asleep in a class being taught by a ghost. Like, I mean, it's just so cool when you think about it, and it's hard to relate.
Professor Binns is that boring.
Well, and that's the point. I mean, I get it, but I always felt like that's where, like, to me, that's where Hermione shined, because
she was reading every book she got her hand on. She was trying to find out everything.
Exactly. And I, you know, kind of going back to a little bit what I was saying is like, I never like the Golden Trio were never like the end all to me. I always felt like the side characters were always a little more interesting, you know, like,
I agree.
Like Lupin and Mad Eye Moody and stuff like that. Like, and Sirius, like those were the characters who, stood out to me, you know, strong male leads to replace the void of my father, who was not involved in my life at the time. I just never connected.
I'll talk that later.
I'm joking, but I'm not joking. That's for you, our listeners, to figure out.
Laugh so you don't cry.
To hide the pain. But those were always the characters that stood out to me. So, like, I never connected, like, with Ron or Hermione specifically. And it's hard to go back, like, to say what I originally felt. But I don't think Hermione was ever one of those characters that annoyed me. I think, like you said, she definitely was like one of the characters that made the most sense. Because actually, you're thinking about it now, and I mean, you kind of mentioned it in a strange way, but Hermione from page to screen being portrayed by Emma Watson in the films, in the first two movies, as we've talked about before, those being the best adaptations of the books to films, her character was very much the Hermione that was book Hermione. It wasn't until Prisoner of Azkaban, along with pretty much changing everything else in the series, from Hogwarts to the visual experience and all of that, Hermione, I think, had the most drastic change because of that. You know, Harry and Ron crossed over pretty well. But in Prisoner of Azkaban, it became less about Hermione as a character and Emma Watson as an actor. Not saying she did a bad job throughout the remainder of the series, but I think some of that, like, initial character development was lost through that change.
She was growing up into more of a tomboy kind of character.
and lost a little bit of that, the bookish, intellectual part of the character. You know, Emma Watson, speaking from a performance standpoint, was she how you pictured Hermione? Was that Hermione to you? I think it's hard now to separate the two because they're so like ingrained in pop culture, but
yeah, for the most part, she was Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the later films for me, like she was Hermione, just like Rupert Grint was Ron, and Danny Radcliffe was, like, to me, Danny Radcliffe was Harry Potter just because he was Harry Potter. That's not how I ever like pictured Harry Potter.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. But Hermione,
not that he did a bad job.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Granger, Emma Watson. Emma Watson as Hermione, like, nailed it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was good.
Yeah. I mean, I relatively feel the same way. I think outside of, you know, the visual tweaks to her character, I think some of that returns, especially in like Half-Blood Prince, and Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. You kind of see, I think, a little more of that character. But yeah, overall, I feel the same way. I if I were to choose out of the three who best fit the original character from the book, I feel like I would lean heavily towards Emma Watson as Hermione Granger. Probably Rupert Grint second, and Daniel Radcliffe. Great Harry Potter, but visually never fit the image that
until movie 4.
Until maybe, yeah. And then it was
that was more like what I imagined Harry Potter looked like.
Yeah,
just really messy hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they kind of take away some of that with Order of the Phoenix and beyond, but yeah. And then I didn't have it in my notes, but thinking about it now, and I don't know if you remember, but do you remember the controversy? I feel like I don't want to skimp out. Not that we have to have a deep conversation to make this any worse, but do you remember the controversy of, I think it was, it had to be The Cursed Child. I think the original production.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That they cast her as a black woman.
Yeah. And then I think She Who Must Not Be Named would go on, which I think is where a lot of the, I don't want to say confusion, but a lot of the anger came from too, because She Who Must Not Be Named also would go on and say that she never flat out described Hermione's skin color in the books, or her description that she could very well be a person of color. Do you remember, having an opinion when all of that happened?
Yeah, when I found out the casting, my opinion was just like, oh, cool.
Right?
Well, yeah, cool, great.
I
was like, yeah, Hermione can be black. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
And she's going to be in the new series, so.
Well, she's not. I think
she's not white.
Yeah.
Person of color.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. I always, and I think in the original story, like it's very clear Hermione is white. She's a white English girl. But I did always feel the same way. I never having read Cursed Child, but it was very much of like, it's a play interpretation. It's a different interpretation. Who cares? You know? I also feel like that was kind of in and around the beginning of the end of She Who Must Not Be Named. Where it was like another step towards, all the stuff that was coming out with Pottermore and just kind of stroking her ego at the time. But I did want to briefly just mention it because I think it is integral to her character as a whole. And I think the new interpretation for the new series, which, we haven't done an episode on it yet, on the casting news and stuff like that. I follow a lot through the Instagram page and have a lot of stuff spoiled for me that I wish I didn't see. A lot of people like to share their opinions of these 11-year-old kids. And we're not that type of podcast.
When it comes to child actors, I'm usually pretty forgiving on them being good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had a situation where like the child actor ruined the movie. Are you talking about?
I'm not talking about anything on the Harry Potter side, but
you're thinking of Star Wars.
I don't blame Jake Lloyd. I am not but I will say I think George Lucas is not great at giving direction as a director.
No, he's not.
And completely blame him for what happened to Jake Lloyd. No, I was just saying that I have seen movies with bad character actors.
Sure.
Sure.
But like at the same time, they're 5. I'm not gonna harp on it.
Yeah.
And not every child actor is gonna be Macaulay Culkin or what's the girl's name that did a lot of movies that I can't remember her name right now.
Dakota Fanning?
Yes, Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
You're not always gonna get a Dakota Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes you do.
Yeah.
But most of the time, not really. But I've never had a child actor ruin a movie for me, like Ender's Game. The kid actors were not the problem with that movie.
No, which is such a shame because I love that book and it was disappointing to see that.
Same. That was like one of my favorite books growing up.
To me, the new series hasn't come out yet.
No, we haven't even gotten a clip yet.
We haven't even gotten a clip, and I will say it is both sides. It's very much I see a split between the negative and positive, but at the end of the day, I just don't care. To me, it's a new interpretation. I'm excited that we get to experience this new series and this new look into what's to come. I do very much hope that they keep the characters a little more consistent throughout the series. And I'm excited to see these young actors perform such iconic roles. But at the end of the day, who cares? The
other thing, I'm more interested in the adult character who they're casting, like Nick Frost as Hagrid.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Also, John Lithgow as Dumbledore. I cannot wait to see that. I think that's the thing I'm most excited about.
Me too. I mean, there's so much at this point, and I will say, due to the people that we follow on Instagram, I have seen things that I wish I could unsee. But what I have seen, even though briefly, looks absolutely fantastic. Definitely looking forward to it. But I do feel like Hermione, kind of just going back to kind of wrap this episode up, I feel like Hermione is the perfect character to, I think, coincide with the Harry Potter series as a whole. Just from the standpoint of having a character that is so reliant and plays such an integral role throughout the series for her smarts, for her not having a fear of learning or showing who she truly is, perfectly coincides with that series as a whole. Because, I mean, to me, Harry Potter was very much the book series, was my book series. And I know we've expressed this 20 other times throughout the episodes that we've talked about. Just the impact of Harry Potter, becoming a series that made me realize that I can pick up a book and enjoy it. It didn't have to be assigned reading in school. It didn't have to be something like that. Like it was very much my Star Wars. It was my Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, right place at the right time. It helped me grieve when I needed to grieve. It helped me to understand loss when I needed to understand loss. It connected me with friends and fans and had such a positive impact. Adding to that, though, having such a strong character throughout this series, while I didn't connect to that specific character on the same level, I know there's millions of people who did. And as a not yet 40s, late 30s white male, I am glad, despite the current feelings of she who must not be named, that we were given a character like this to provide such a positive impact for a series, though somewhat spoiled as of late, did bring about a lot of great things.
I agree.
And I think Hermione as a character is just a perfect interpretation of that as a whole, and the magic that Harry Potter has brought us completely.
The Good, the Bad, and the Boy is an independently produced podcast. Stock media, wizard theme music provided by Adam Monroe at Pond 5.
Music, a magic beyond all we do here.
Voiceovers provided by artists Sarah Jackson and Debbie Masters. Links to their creative works can be found in our podcast channel and episode descriptions.
Hearing voices no one else can hear isn't a good sign, even in the wizarding world.
You can rate and review us on your preferred podcast platform, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Good, the Bad, and the Boy podcast, all one word. Questions, suggestions, feedback, and howlers can be sent to us directly at The Good, the Bad, and the Boy at gmail.com. You're a wizard, Harry.
A what?
A wizard.